Good evening, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. I know Ms. Cogsdale delivers the mail and she's on the way, so she's been hustling today. So she'll join us as soon as she can get here. We'll begin with the invocation. Mr. Cook.
Please stand with me. Bow your heads and let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we know you are our creator and sustainer of life. We give you thanks for our many blessings and for the rain you've given us over the last few weeks. We also know that you made the promise this land would never be covered with floods again, so we understand, even though we've had torrential rains, there's a purpose and reason behind it. Give us discernment tonight as we go about the city business. May we make wise decisions that are always to your benefit and glory. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next on our agenda is time for public comment. As we do before each time we have this, I want to make sure everybody knows the process and what we do as at our council meeting. We do this as a courtesy and to allow folks to say what's on their mind. When you come up to speak, we ask that you give us your name. After you've done this, you'll have 2 minutes to make a statement. If you're prepared, this should not be a big problem. It's not a question and answer time. It's the time for you to make a statement. When your 2 minutes are up, Miss Danya Langston will have, she's timing and she'll have a timer to go off and she'll let you know if you have notes and you have not finished and you want to leave them for us to put in the record. You can certainly give those to her. With that, Ms. Langston, we will ask you to begin the process.
Daria Chronic.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Daria Chronic, and I live in College View and Clinton. As a council, I know you're about to approve a new budget. Given the stormwater flooding that occurred on Memorial Day in existing neighborhoods in Clinton and all the grant money that the city has received, shouldn't the council give consideration to having enough funds to repair aging infrastructure affected by the stormwater drain causing flooding in the 2026-27 budget? But tonight I am speaking regarding the continued excessive flooding issues caused by inadequate drainage capacity pertaining to the stormwater runoff occurring in the city of Clinton. This is a potentially dangerous occurrence that could cause physical harm to people and animals, as well as to damage to property, especially when the stormwater inundates sewer lines. The infrastructure in Clinton is old and obviously needs professional attention to ameliorate the problem. This is a citywide issue affecting Washington Street, South Livingston Street, Elm Street, and Cedar Street, to name a few locations. These locations are parts of wards 1, 2, and 3, and I hope that the city council representatives of these wards will take a proactive position to alleviate future damage caused because the flooding is only going to become more frequent. With proper planning, the reoccurring flooding could become a non-issue. So on behalf of the citizens of Clinton, I am requesting that the city of Clinton adopt a proactive approach to solving this problem by funds being allocated to address the reoccurring aging infrastructure issues regarding stormwater runoff in older residential areas of the city in the current budget of 2026-27. I am also requesting to see, without applying for a FOIA report, a list of grants that the city has received for beginning with the $3.3 million of the American Rescue Plan Act funds until present, with transparent details as to how those funds were used. Also, in hiring an independent consulting firm with a certified stormwater design engineer and hydrologist to develop plans to address the stormwater runoff citywide in Clinton. This will help protect the properties of the existing citizens of Clinton. Spending money on this endeavor will be cost-effective in the long run when the problem is solved, and the city of Clinton will not be spending its limited resources reacting to future damages. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cronic, Dr. Cronic. Yeah, just give that to
Pass out.
to Danya, and she'll pass them out. Just give them to
You can
her,
give them to me,
and
and I'll
she'll
make sure that
pass
they
them
get
out to us. Thank
And
you.
I have a petition if anyone would like to sign it.
Okay. Hey, good. Glad you're here. Okay. Go ahead.
Sandy Crookshanks.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Another infrastructure issue, roads. I think I addressed council in writing several months ago concerning my neighborhood. We're not the only neighborhood, but many of the streets in College View are becoming one-way streets. You can't pass cars on them because of the damage that's been done by water and just by time. Most of those roads haven't been paved probably in 20, 25 years. And all I'm asking the council to do, I realize you can't do it in one city. Develop a long-term plan to get these roads fixed. You're going to be annexing 3 pieces of property up there tonight, and those may entail new roads. But don't forget about us and all throughout the city that have been long-term residents. Our roads are affecting our property value. So keep that in mind, if you would. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles Warren.
My name's Charles Warren. I live in Greenville, South Carolina. I own the set 272-acre farm adjacent to the proposed Starlight RV park. Primarily use this land for recreation with my family, but also long-term investment as well. This is the second time I've had to speak before a city council regarding a developer attempting to push through a plan that lacks lawful consideration for adjacent landowners. Several years ago, my home in a historic neighborhood in downtown Greenville faced a proposal to place 9 homes on a very small parcel. The developer failed to engage neighbors, ignored stormwater concerns, underestimated traffic impacts, and showed little regard for the surrounding community. Greenville City Council ultimately denied the project. Today, their adjacent properties in the city fits the neighborhood perfectly. Responsible planning matters. I'm excited about the growth and opportunity coming to the area in the next 5 years is going to be important and promising, but it needs to be approached carefully. The eastern boundary of this project is my 60-acre hardwood bottom, which contains 2 creek drainages, Sand Creek and Miller's Fork. This area is significant and a growing watershed, particularly with the proposed baseball development upstream. Stormwater and wastewater are serious concerns when a high-density RV park is proposed directly above sensitive land and waterways. Once these systems are failed or overwhelmed, the damage is permanent. An RV park is truly intended to support the baseball complex. The Whitten Center property appears to be a more logical solution, closer to the development, no land acquisition costs, and greater public accountability through a public-private partnership. That said, my primary concern is the privacy and safety of my family and guests who use this secluded property. I don't think anyone would welcome an RV park next to land they own. And the City Council determines that this project is in Clinton's best interest. I urge you to require a continuous privacy fence, not just a buffer along the entire shared boundary. RV park users naturally roam, and I do not want people or dogs crossing onto my property, period. I'm not opposed to growth or development. I own a substantial Highway 72 frontage. My land is not in a conservation easement. But I would hope if my children or grandchildren ever propose development on this land that they would be held to a higher standard of planning, responsibility, and respect for their neighbors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Would you like that?
Vernon Edwards.
Mayor and council, I'm Vernon Edwards, and I'm presently, and for the last 3.5 years, I have been your facilities maintenance director, which is a new position for the city. I'm here tonight to tell you about the merit and character of Michael Williams. Michael is currently a trustee employee of the city. He is primarily assigned to us as a janitorial aide, but for the last 2.5 years, he has helped me for the time that he is not spending on janitorial duties. And Michael aspires to be more than a janitor. He is hoping to be employed as the first full-time employee in the facilities maintenance department, which is currently a department of one part-time employee. Michael is a very bright man. He is a diligent man. He's a good man. I'm convinced that Michael's character is quite different from the man who was incarcerated 10 years ago when he was in a drug bust. Michael will not return to that life, and he seeks employment with the city, where he has told me he feels very comfortable because at least half of his friends are policemen. So I think that's a good thing. But I'm here just to tell you that I have full faith in Michael's abilities to serve the city of Clinton well. The city of Clinton now has at least 10 major facilities. If you think about facilities, when I say major, I'm talking about facilities that would cost $500,000 or more, up into multi-million dollars to replace. And Michael can take care of day-to-day maintenance now on most of those buildings. Michael and I together have probably already converted more than 100 light fixtures in various buildings to LED. Michael can do this now by himself. There are many other things that Michael's familiar with. I was hired primarily because I had served the Bailey family, taking care of this building when it was the Bailey Bank for some 20 years. And when y'all began having problems with this building, Tom Brooks hired me to help solve some of those problems. You need someone who is familiar. Michael will be that person. And I hope that you'll give strong consideration to him. And I hope that you'll feel some comfort in his character, what I've spoken to you about tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dolores Davis.
My name is Dolores Davis, and I'm here because my sister passed away about 2.5 years ago, and her house left to me, and I have it rented out. And the people that rent the house for me, they went down to the city to get water changed in their name, but I'm told I need to sign this annex paper here, and I wonder why, because none of the other of the age got anything about being annexed, so I just want to know why that problem.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. This isn't question and answer time, but I understand. We'll get somebody to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll get it. Okay.
Darlene King Summers.
My name is Dawn Keeson, and I'm a PR of the Keys Family Estate. And I know the council's here tonight to do a separate reading of it, but I just want to speak and appreciate our investors, Omar Garcia and AJ Drake, working over patiently on this project for the last year and not giving up on this. I'm so happy that the Musco neighbors and investors of the community and the King family all come together with investors to come to a solution on the zoning. It has took a long time, and I know everyone will be happy with the solution. Also, I want to thank the city council, the planning commission, Phil Linder, the planning director, the city manager, Joy Meadows, the police, and the city public works. They did a lot. When you got land sitting there a year and a half, you would not believe what can happen, and they have helped us a lot. Also, I want to thank Alex Summer, my son, Rod Stewart, and the King family, which is on the back 2 rows. All have watched to try to keep this property grass cut, everything not burning down, waterways stolen, leaving people walks in, they can leave the houses. It's been a long process over a year, and tonight I know everyone can leave tonight happy what has happened. Also, I know that our grandparents, my dad, James Ray King, my aunts and uncles, have been proud of the children and grandchildren that see this project through. So I just thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry Amick.
My
Thank you. Okay, that's everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is approval of minutes for the May 4th meeting. Everybody's had a chance to look at those. We'll entertain a motion, put it on the floor.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Cook,
Second.
second from Ms. Cogswell. Questions or comments? Corrections or deletions, additions?
Corrections. On page 4, well, actually page 3, the third bullet at the bottom, action taken, where it says council debated proposed increase. It wasn't council that debated that, it was myself that debated that. And then on page 4, all the discussion points, that was discussion points that I brought forward. And then it says that the motion carried 6-1, and I was the one that voted against it. Excuse me, and then the action taken on the Davison Musgrove rezoning, that should have been 6-1 because I voted against it.
Okay, anything else? Okay,
No, that's it. That's
thank
good.
you. Okay, with those corrections, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And the minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, we have proclamations. We have 3 proclamations. For June, it's National Safety Month in the city of Clinton. June 27th, 2026 is PTSD Awareness Day in the city of Clinton. And June 28th, 2026 as Carolina Day in the city of Clinton. And I'll entertain a motion to, I'll be quiet. I'll entertain a motion to make those proclamations.
So moved.
A motion from Mr. Kirkendall. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Smith, I think did it first. So, any questions or comments?
I just want to make a comment. I know this is kind of a formality for these kinds of things. So I personally want to recognize June as Pride Month. We all tend to recognize marginalized or under-recognized communities for months. So I just want to recognize that on my own.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
So for Juneteenth, we don't do proclamation for Juneteenth?
We looked back and we did not find one for Juneteenth. We looked back before we did the agenda for this month.
Well, I think we only recently did last year, that we did Juneteenth for, as a holiday? So it wouldn't be on previous,
We still do it as a holiday.
right, but,
We haven't done a proclamation or resolution for it in previous years.
Well, we can look at that and
Yeah.
put one together. Okay. All right. Anything else? Not all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And we are so proclaimed. All right. Mr. Metters.
Good evening. The first thing under old business for tonight is the public hearing for the budget.
Okay. We always have a public hearing before we do second reading on the budget. So I'll declare us in a public hearing and ask if anyone has a comment about the budget. We'd ask you to come forward and state your name and make your comment. We'll use the same rules as we do for citizen comments at the beginning. So if anybody has a comment about the budget, we'll invite you to come forward now. Okay. Okay, hearing no comments, we'll declare the public hearing closed, and we'll move on to the next order of business.
The next item on the agenda is for city and council to consider second reading of an ordinance for fiscal year 26-27 budget for the city of Clinton, South Carolina.
Okay, we've got recommendation to proceed with second reading of the budget. I'll entertain a motion if that's the will of council. So moved by Ms. Walsh. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kirkendall. Okay, we'll have questions or comments. It's on the floor. I want to say first, I appreciate the hard work that staff has put forth in giving us a balanced budget. Appreciate the hard work that all of our department heads have done to work on this, as well as the finance committee putting forth their good work on this. No budget's perfect and never will be, but we are balanced. We tried to address the needs that we could. We know we certainly got a list of everything that we couldn't get. Sorry, we have ants up here, so just didn't want that one to get away. So I appreciate it for everybody. Any other comments?
I do. Mr. Mayor, my comments still stand from the last meeting.
Okay.
I guess addressing to council as well, that how we can approve a across-the-board increase when you're looking at an employee that makes $30,000 a year versus one that makes $75,000 or $100,000. That person making $30,000 will only receive $789 versus a person making $75,000 receiving $1,900, and those that make over $100,000 receiving $2,600. We talk about losing employees. We losing employees because when you look at that doesn't seem fair for an employee that's making $30,000 and then an employee that's making $75,000 or $100,000. The difference there, that's a big difference of an increase, as we did last year, 5% across the board. Person making over $100,000 received $5,000 versus that person making $30,000 only received $1,500. That's a big gap there, and I still think that raises should be on a scale and should be considered to be on a scale to help those employees that's making less than $50,000, giving them a better increase than we giving those that's making $100,000, getting almost $3,000 increase. And then we're talking about there's a possibility of giving a merit increase, or that's going to make the gap even wider there. I was approached by, which it kind of threw me, but I explained to the lady, I was approached by an employee wife stating that management said that I was the one that didn't want employees to get an increase. That is not the case. I want employees to get an increase, but I want it to be on a fair scale of getting an increase. Looking at that is just not fair, an employee getting $700 versus someone getting $2,600. It needs to be on a scale. There's companies as cities that is freezing the budget. We have not frozen our budget in the 3.5 years I've been on council. We have steadily increased our budget, approximately almost 52% each year. And I just don't think it's right to the citizens to continue to get increase. We're increasing now the millage to 10 in order to sustain our budget. So I stand with what I'm saying, and I want to be able to go to sleep at night, and I want to be able to say that I'm representing not just Ward 2, but representing the city of Clinton and the employees of the city, as well as the citizens of Clinton. And I make a plea with council to reconsider this budget and put this increase on a scale. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I've got, question for an explanation, I'm gonna pick on the spot here, about, we had some, or I received some questions, and I know our administration received some questions about, regarding, reassessment of property taxes by the county. Can you explain, what that, how that is working with our millage?
Yes. So every 5 years, the county goes through a reassessment process and they revalue everybody's property. There is a limit to the percentage that they can increase the properties, but you know, when you look at something that was done just recently and all the increases that we had with COVID, there could be some very large increases. Some people could see a 50 to 75% increase on a property. The max that they can actually be increased on a reassessment or on a tax basis is 15%. So there is a cap there. When we did the budget and did our millage increase, we were basing that on current year values and current year millage. Now what's going to happen is the county will finally give us the data that we need to do the reevaluation, what they call the rollback on the property taxes, on the millage rollback. And we will then take the prior to the reassessment, and balance our current millage to the reassessed value so it will produce the same amount of revenue. Then after that, we will add the 10.1 mil increase that we have planned in the budget. So that won't change our budget numbers, but it will change the ultimate millage rate that gets put into the property tax rolls for the next property tax season.
So it's an adjusted scale, so to speak.
It's adjusting to when you take the new values. Like if we just left it alone and took the new values, it would give us an artificial jump of property taxes. So we roll that back, but there's a lot of components that go to it. Like we have to remove all the new houses and things that have been revalued in the, you know, let's say a house got sold in the last couple of years and then it got revalued at that point. So things like that have to be pulled out before we can reassess or do the rollback and all that. We have been pushing all the cities and towns in Lawrence County have been pushing county to give us the data, which we have not seen to this date. But the good news is that they actually scheduled a meeting for tomorrow for us all to go to. So at 1:30 tomorrow, we will be meeting with the county to discuss the procedures to do the rollback. But, you know, from our standpoint right now, where we built the budget, we have that information, but we're still building a budget based on the old information, not the new information.
Thank you. I just want to assure people as they hear that we're working with the county to make
Yes.
that equitable. My second question is, I hear what you're saying, Ms. Williams, about we have a lot of employees who are paid not as much as they could be in other places, but that 2.63% is mandated by the state, correct?
Correct.
So that is an across the board, we cannot scale that for employees based on
Yes.
their,
Yes, you can.
It's
Yes.
a cost of living increase.
okay.
Could we not do anything? Yeah, we could not do anything.
the state recommended level.
That is the
cost of
state
living.
mandated level, yes, so that also dictates what part of how we look at our millage increase. There's a millage bank that I calculate every year, and this is the kind of the third full budget that I've been a part of. I came in on the very first one, kind of on the back end of it, but as the three budgets that I prepared, the first year, we took 2.7 of the allowed 8 mills that we could have increased. The second year, we took none of the 5.5. And so this year, we're trying to recoup a little bit of that and keep going forward with, I think we were allowed 4.2 this year, based on our population growth and the cost of living increase. Now, the other thing I would like to point out is the two, the general fund and the utility fund merit increase buckets that I had put out there. That is not a guarantee we're gonna give, that is something that we have the ability to use within the budget, but it's not an increase, it is a bonus. The reason I did it that way is because it doesn't carry forward to the next year. So we're not keeping inflating salaries that will get too far out of, I don't wanna get out of skew with the salary range for those positions. So that's why it was set as a bonus and not an increase.
And let's make it clear, it's not a mandate, it's a recommendation. Because if that be the case, other companies, and from my understanding, PC, not giving an increase, so it's not like it's required to give a 2.63 increase. That's a recommendation, and here it recommend a 2.8, not a 2.63, is what the state is a recommendation. It's not a mandate, and that's the difference in a mandate where it is required versus a recommendation. But again, on my point, 30,000, an employee making $14.50 an hour, only receiving $789 versus someone that's making $75,000, $100,000, receiving $2,600 increase on a raise. That's a big scale difference. And in order to bring employees and to keep those employees employed with the city of Clinton, we need to think about how we are divvying out the raise, and does it seem fair to that employee, that's whether he's in sanitation or versus whether he's a police officer or versus whether he's a fireman or whatever. Does it seem fair to give them that small amount of an increase versus someone that's already making $100,000? So that's what you have to look at. That's my stance on it. You don't have to agree. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think those are two different discussion points in my opinion. I think low pay in this country is a large problem. What's the federal minimum wage now? It's abysmal. So I think those are two different issues, but I think a cost of living raise or increase, if you don't apply it across the board, eventually becomes a pay cut for some people. And to say that people who have worked their way into higher positions don't deserve something, and I'm not saying that people don't deserve to make a living wage, that's not my point, but I think a cost of living wage or increase should be across the board, because eventually it becomes a detriment to those who have, for whatever reason, worked their way into a job that earns more money.
Okay.
I see it the same way, that the cost of living increase is really just to help them stay even with what inflation does to our dollar. So again, it's really not going to feel like a raise when you account for what people are having to spend on things. I do do see your point on that, Ms. Williams, but I think there's another way to look at it, to say it's also fair just to keep everybody where they're at with the cost of living raise, to keep the dollars they earn, that they can buy the same amount of groceries, the same amount of things they're used to. So I think there's two different ways of looking at what's fair. But I do hear what you're saying in respect to that point.
Well, thank you for hearing that. I don't think a person that's making $30,000 and one that's making $100,000 can go into the grocery store, and that one that's making 30 can buy the same amount of grocery as that one that's making 100,000.
No, I'm not arguing that.
So, right, but that's what you were saying, that with that cost of living. I certainly understand your point. I understand Ms. Wash's points, understand my point as well, is that I think increases need to be on a scale. Last year, we did 5% across the board. That was a big increase for every employee. 100,000 getting $3,500 increase last year. Now you breaking them down to 2.63 this year. That's still, that person that's making $30,000 is not coming up. I've dealt with increases with Fortune 500 companies, and we've never did a across-the-board increase for any employees. So that's my point.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions or comments?
I do have a couple questions.
Sure.
Is the number that was stated a 52% increase over the past 3 years? Is that accurate? We've increased our budget 52%?
No.
What's the increase?
This year,
I said over the last 3.5 years.
well, I mean, I haven't calculated that up.
Okay.
I mean, this year, the general fund was increased 8%, and the utility fund was increased 4%. It's never been, I mean, even over, in the last three budgets, we were at 9.3, 10.4, and 11. 11.2 this year for general fund. I mean, so even that may be 15 to 20% increase over the last 3 years, not 52.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have one more.
Okay.
Obviously, the stormwater has been a big
Get to it.
subject lately just because of all the rain. You gave us a sheet of paper, and I couldn't find mine, that showed what departments had asked for and then what they received, what they didn't receive. Is there money that's needed to address some of those items that we didn't approve within this budget?
The capital items that were requested that we did not include in this budget do not address stormwater. Not directly.
The funds would, but there was nothing listed for addressing stormwater. But since Monday was a week ago, I have reached out to several engineering firms and also the state to try and find some grants that will allow us to do some planning on that. Randall and I have talked about some of the areas that we've had these problems in, going around and addressing each storm drain and putting our TV camera in them and seeing exactly what the issue is, if they're stopped up or if we have holes in the pipes deteriorating. So we will be doing some of that in the next few weeks.
Thank you. Other questions? Madeline?
Yeah, I got one. You said last year we did not do an increase in the meals at all, correct?
That's correct.
And then this year we done a 10%.
10.1.
No, it's not 10%. It actually works out to be a little over 7%.
And a while ago we done the cost of living as 6.23. Where you threw a number out there, 4.2 increase? Is that what they give you as an option? You said like you do 4.2 increase when we were talking about the cost of living. I know they're not getting but 2.63. but you threw a number out, you said 4.2 increase on something, I don't know if that's what they suggested.
No, what was mandated by the state this year for millage, which is how we follow with our cost of living for payroll. The city of Clinton, obviously statewide was 2.63%. We got another additional 0.9% that we could increase millage for population growth.
So you could increase it more, but.
Well, we could, but, I mean, we could have taken the whole 15 that were available, but we chose not to.
And like the pay scale, the 2.63, of course, I got it at the post office, I'd love to have a 2.6 increase. But I think ours was 1.7, and as you said, it was across the board, whether you make $40 an hour, you make $20 an hour, they all got the same amount on our salary. What is the, like, statewide for council or whatever, city employees, I mean, does everybody do across the board, or is it a scale, or everybody's different?
Everybody's different. It all depends on what their councils want to act on. What we put forward was doing a, following the cost of living increase and at least trying to attempt to keep our people within that type of range. Costs are going up. Everybody knows our gas is going up, and that'll chew up any increase.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it, I mean, give them all the money you give them.
I mean, we like to, our goal is to take care of our employees. Whether it's someone that works running the lawnmower, a police officer, a fireman, or someone that works in administration, everybody is the same in our minds. So, I have bills just like everybody else does, but, we thought our feelings were, and have been for the last few years, that and why we have done things across the board, is that every employee needs to be taken care of.
Well, we didn't do it year before last. We did do it on a scale. So maybe that was before you came.
We did do that on a scale.
Yes, we did.
That was your suggestion that we did that on a scale.
Any other questions or comments?
So on this budget, what you have planned out, there won't be any surprises come July, August, as it was last year after the budget was approved and we realized we needed cameras and stuff for the police officers. So everything have been itemized out, even with the building next door. Have we gotten everything that we needed for the building next door, across the street?
To the best of our ability, we have. But we do have aging infrastructure and equipment that could break down tomorrow that we did not budget for. But we've got to repair it or possibly replace it to continue the services that we get the citizens of Clinton. So I can't sit here and tell you there won't something come up. I hope not, but it's possible also.
Thank you. I want, budgets are difficult, and I appreciate the thought that's going into this, and that everybody has done, and appreciate everybody's comments. Any other questions or comments before we
I just want
vote?
to make a point, because budget's been discussed about infrastructure and all the flooding that we've had. And I know that I forgot what day it was, we had record amount of rain, nearly 3 inches in a matter of a couple hours. And I know that having served years on this board, that on the council, we've spent a lot of attention and a lot of dollars and a lot of grant money that we were able to get to address infrastructure problems that we've discussed a lot tonight. That's not just something that we've let lay by the wayside. It's been a top priority with all the councils in the last few years, because we started in Liddy Mill, we've gone over to the old Mill Village, the Mill Village here, and we're doing a lot of things as you see these trucks in all of our streets now that backing up traffic they're addressing such issues as you're discussing tonight. Yes. So I just want to make that point. It's not something that we've let lay by the wayside, and not paid attention to.
Okay. Anything else? All right. I think we've discussed this. We'll ask for a vote on second reading for the budget. Ask everybody in favor, please raise your right hand so we'll know who voted. All opposed, raise your right hand. Okay. The motion carries. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is for council to consider second reading of an ordinance amending the zoning designation of property within the city of Clinton consisting of 3.14 acres, more or less, located at 104, 106, 111, and 112 Davidson Street, 103 Campbell Street, and 521, 523, and 527 Musgrove Street, being identified as tax map numbers 901-10-01-007, 009, 013, and 014, and other matters related thereto.
Okay, so this is second reading, and we'll.
This is the property that Ms. Summer was talking
Right.
about earlier. We did first reading on it last month, and this is second reading.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to proceed with second reading.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Cook, second from Mr. Kirkendall. Any questions or comments? I know I do appreciate the cooperation, and I know it took a while, but everybody, there was a lot of give and take, and I think we came up with a good solution that hopefully satisfied all parties involved.
Can we explain again what, this gonna be, our 1, 2, 3, what is the plan
Mr. Lynn?
again?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the request is before you tonight, the recommendation is presented to you by the planning commission, is on page 6 of your packet that includes the proposed ordinance on the matter. The changes to R2 on a number of the properties, basically 115 feet back from Musgrove Street, within that property boundary. So everything from 115 feet from Musgrove Street back is R1, everything back behind that would be zoned R2 if you so choose to fulfill the planning commission's recommendation.
Thank you.
So, now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Everything on Musgrove Street is staying R1, just the side street, Davidson and stuff.
Yes.
So everything facing, Musgrove is continuing to be R1.
That's correct.
And is the developer okay with that? I mean, because I know he's wanting R2 and R3. Is he okay leaving Musgrove Street as R1 instead of if he cannot put a duplex there? Is he okay with that?
The property owner is okay with that. I've not spoken with the developer.
Okay.
So, and how many planned, properties is,
There's 4 properties involved in the request.
well, I guess, so it'll be houses, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how many houses?
It could be, we don't have any plans on it specifically at this point, but basically they could do up to 6,000 square feet minimum lot sizes for those areas.
But we don't know how many houses.
It would just be a guess.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor for continuous second reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No,
And the motion carries. Okay, Mr. Metters.
Next item on the agenda is for council to consider second reading of an ordinance for annexation of contiguous real property into the corporate city limits of Clinton, located northeast of Technology Way and Highway 72, identified as tax map number 675-00-00-004, And the next item also includes the same request, and the property tax number there is 675-00-00-007. And any explanation that you may need on this, Mr. Lindler can help you with that. I think there were a few minor changes.
And are we voting on these together, or?
You can do them separate if you like, but it's the same layout.
Well,
The two properties are joined to make this one annexation request.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor and Council, there is one change that I need to address before you tonight. In your packet, included after the application and identified as the appendix that is going to be included with the ordinance, they have amended the proposed layout of the site. I want to provide that to you. This item has gone to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission has recommended approval of that. In addition, on page 1 of their plan development text, it begins at the very top, says the intent of the plan development district is to, and it identifies all the standards in the development. There is a modification at the very bottom where the campground RV portion is not to exceed a total of 489 accommodation units, and we're defining that as RV spaces and cabins. And then also below on item subsection 1, campground RV park not to exceed 440 RV spaces, and that is consistent with the site plan that's provided to you on the joint page.
Okay.
Again, the Planning Commission recommends approval of this.
So we do have a recommendation from the Planning Commission. All right, we'll entertain a motion to consider second reading.
Is that on both D and E?
On both
doing
D and,
separate?
on both D and E. They're the same thing, so I think we can do them at the same time. Have a motion from Ms. Walsh. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Kirkendall. All right, any questions or comments further? We got Mr. Lindler here. Okay. If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is for council to consider second reading of an ordinance for annexation of contiguous real property in the corporate limits of Clinton, located at the intersection of Willard Road and Caldwell Street, and identified as tax map number 637-00-00-010. This is property right there next to where the Pine Haven Park is, and the intersection of Willard Road, Caldwell, and Shannon Street. And this will be second reading. We approved first reading last month.
Okay. We have the recommendation from staff to consider second reading of this ordinance, so we'll entertain a motion. That's the will of council. Have a motion from Mr. Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Cogswell. Questions or comments?
Mr. Meadows, can you explain why annexation is necessary, with these properties and then other properties that we annex in? What's the ratification to that, and so people can really understand this annexation, what it really means?
In most of these instances that we've done here tonight, the one on Highway 72 and Technology Way, the developer approached us after he made a deal with the landowners. So they requested it be annexed into the city. The others, the one we just did, that property was a donut hole in the city. Everything around it was annexed into the city limits many years ago. And in 1995, the city passed an ordinance that required any property that wanted water and sewer services with the city of Clinton had to sign an annexation form. and this is what Ms. Davis was talking about earlier. They have to sign an annexation form in order to have water and sewer service with the city. So
So,
that-
and what does that mean, that if she signed, when, I know you would have 120 days to sign that, correct?
yes, ma'am.
So what does that mean, signing that?
What that means is if you are outside the city limits and your property is contiguous to the city limits and you are receiving water service from us, we can progress or move through the process of annexation of that property. If your property is not contiguous, you still have to sign that annexation agreement. So in future years, if it does become contiguous, we can also annex that property. We can start proceedings to do that. But what that does is it helps us to increase our tax base. So that's what we're working on.
So in other words, she's signing that annexation, it means that then she would have to pay city tax.
Yes, ma'am. But on the other hand, she would get a lower water rate. Our water rates are higher for customers that live outside the city than they are inside the city.
And they can still keep, for the electric, it does not affect electric.
That's
If they're
correct.
with Lawrence Electric, it does not affect that.
That is correct.
Okay, but it's,
Nothing would change except whoever bought the house, or I think she has a tenant in there right now, that tenant would open an account with the city, and since Ms. Davis owned the property, she would be the one responsible for signing the annexation agreement. The tenant cannot do that.
and then at that point, she will be paying city tax.
Not until we,
Not until you annex it.
Yes, ma'am.
So is there a plan to annex that property?
Is that the property that we're discussing?
No.
I don't think this is point of order. I don't think this is appropriate to what is on the agenda.
But
But you can ask about annexation.
I'm sorry, I was,
You can, but we're supposed to be discussing this one property. I think it muddies the waters. I think that's appropriate for a different time, this council meeting, just not during this section.
Well, one of the things with the donut hole with this property that was already a donut hole, that was a focus of the municipal association for several years because you'd have a donut hole with people that were not annexed into the city, were contiguous or either surrounded. They were getting city services but weren't paying for them, basically. And they, you can't, fire trucks still got to go there, police are going to still be protecting them, but they weren't part of the city. So it was a focus all over our state to be able to have all the donut holes that we could closed up so that they're part of the city, since they're in the middle of the city to start with. Okay.
But you need to get the information you needed.
Huh?
Get what you needed.
Yeah, because I mean, he was discussing as well. But thank you, Mr. Matters, for explaining that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I am.
Not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
now into new business. City Council consider approval of the residents located at the recreation complex to become part of an employee's compensation package. As Mr. Edwards brought to you just a few minutes ago about Michael Williams, we do plan to bring Michael on later on in the year and replace Vernon when he retires. And as part of his compensation package, I would like to recommend that he be able to live in the house at the recreation complex. We've got a lot going on out there, and it would be very helpful to have someone in that home that can kind of monitor what goes on out there at night. And I guess that's pretty much it. I think it's a good thing for us, a good thing for Mike.
Okay. So you're asking us to approve using that residence for for his, using that house for his residence,
Yes, sir.
as part of his compensation package.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And that will not take place until after the first of 2027.
okay, we have a recommendation from staff, and I'll entertain a motion if that's the will of council.
You putting it on the table for discussion or what?
Yeah, we're asking for a motion to put it on the table for discussion.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mr. Kirkendall. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Cook. Thank you. Okay. Questions or comments?
How are we, really, I know you're saying this is to compensate his salary, but who gonna be responsible for the taxes, the upkeep of the building, of the house, paying the insurance on the house? How are we gonna be justifying an employee staying there to compensate his salary? What will be the compensation, what will be the salary?
We have not, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
I mean, I don't see how we can justify using that as compensation of employee's salary. Is we not gonna have a maintenance person for the rec center? Is he gonna be the maintenance person for the rec center?
No, ma'am. We already have a maintenance crew.
So
that-
wouldn't it be
out
the
there.
maintenance person that would be staying on the property? And then is the house gonna be just for him, or is it gonna be for him and family, or?
Just
I
for
mean,
him.
but how would you be able to supervise that, to say only he can live in the house? So, I mean, if he got family members or whatever, or get married, or I don't know if he's married, whatever, as the email that I sent you, I don't think that's a good idea. That's just my opinion.
Well, he would be the only one living there, and that's left up to your.
The house
Council.
belongs to the city, right?
The house belongs to the city. There's no taxes that are due on it. He would do some of the maintenance on the house. As Vernon said, he's very good at that. He would be responsible for his utility bill. So really, the house is sitting there right now wasting away.
We'll have somebody, eyes on the property all the time, when,
That's correct.
and
We've got people
You know,
out there
it's-
during the day working, and so we'll have someone there at night.
it's gonna benefit,
keeping
it's
an eye
gonna
on-
benefit him, but it's gonna benefit us as well. It's gonna benefit the city to
Yes.
have somebody in that house, keeping it alive and keeping that property, safe, I guess. It's the word I'm looking for.
You said there's, go ahead, Kurt.
Go ahead.
Aside from residing in the house, will he have responsibilities about the properties, that recreation facility?
Not necessarily. He will have performed his duties here each day. Knowing Michael, if he sees something, yes, he's gonna do it, but he's not gonna be required to do anything at the rec complex each evening.
Except we watching the
Yes.
eyes.
That's correct.
I think it's a great idea. I know it's hard, for someone coming out of a system for us to decrease recidivism. I provide housing, I do have some questions that are, is this tied to a person or a position? How is it carried down if he were to move out? have lots of, clauses built in about what that means for, our minister living there, how it affects their salary.
Sure.
So I just think more details, would be better for all of us and to explain to the public.
And if it's the will of council, we can have that at our July meeting. But I don't see anyone else moving forward, living in that house unless it's brought back to council. This is a one-time thing, basically like Mr. Brooks did. Mr. Brooks lived there for a while, paid his utility bill, and then it's been vacant ever since.
Do we have a lease agreement or anything like that drawn up?
I don't know. I can research it.
That would be something I'd recommend, and like Ms. Walsh was talking about, just spelling out clearly, if employment ends or whatever, how long. You know, if it ends unexpectedly, the person that lives there has nowhere to go.
All right.
Just spelling out some of those things, I'd feel more comfortable. It sounds like a great idea.
I agree.
Once we kind of tie up some of these loose ends. But
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Well, who made the motion? I can't,
I did.
I think, okay, well, what do we need to do, Alan? If we want to table it, can he,
Let me change it.
Second that.
Danny,
Danny second.
Mr. Cook, second it?
And then the motion, second.
Okay, so if you move to table it,
Okay, I would like
So-
to change my first motion and change it to to table this until we get more information.
detailed plan,
Yeah.
okay. Mr. Cook?
Second.
Okay, all right. We
And
got that?
Also, I think we need to be careful how we're wording this about compensation, because council doesn't do anything with compensation of an employee.
Right.
So therefore, I think it needs to be reworded to be appropriate for the language, since he's gonna be considered an employee. We do not do compensation, management does compensation.
True.
My
Okay.
concern is making an exception because what if another employee needs housing? I mean, we have to think about, are we doing the right thing? Yes, we want to help, but what if another employee need housing? How you handle that? We understand, him having to get back on his feet, but we'll table it is that, but that's still a big concern of mine, is even making that suggestion.
Okay, well, if we vote this, we'll vote to table it, and we'll take up another plan and see where that goes with everybody, if it's what this council wants to do. So, we've got the motion and a second to table.
I have a question before you table it.
Okay.
You said this was a one chance opportunity. I mean, so if we table it, I mean, you just said it was one chance,
No, what I meant by that is if Michael is allowed to move in, that's a one-time thing for Michael and a one-time thing for us. If it comes back up again after Mr. Williams moves out, then it would be brought back to council again because they control the property.
And I know you're gonna get into more detail as far as when you come back, because I definitely have no problem with, giving somebody a second chance, and as far as he seems to be doing great. Like, will he get a like he'll get a salary from doing his maintenance work here, to say 8 to 4, he'll get a regular check just like anybody else?
Yes.
That's not
but-
taken away from him.
But Carl and I and HR and we'll put together a package for him, since management does do the compensation for him.
And that doesn't happen until 27.
That's correct.
So if we table this, does it affect his timeline at all? He's not.
You said he had to
Yeah,
have a date.
he is working on getting everything put together so he can be released at the end of the year. He's got a checking account, his driver's license, and he has to have a place to live.
Okay.
So he's working towards everything.
All right, so we have a motion to table and a second. We'll call the question. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And we are tabled. Motion.
The next item on the agenda under new business is for council to consider approving amendments to the policy on delayed payments and adjustment to utility bills. In the staff report, I included a copy of the amendments that I wanted, or that we wanted to do. Carl and I have both worked on this. As it stands right now, if you ask for an extension in our current policy, late payments are waived. So just by getting an extension, you don't have to pay a late payment, but you're still paying after the due date. So we wanted to reword this that all extensions or anything that's paid after the due date would incur a late payment. And just make everything even across the board. Because you are, regardless of whether you had an extension or not, you're paying late. And we just wanted to get that corrected and make it a lot easier for our ladies over in utility billing. They spend a lot of time removing penalties when the person actually comes in and pays. They spend a lot of time each Monday morning with people coming in and doing extensions. So we just like to clarify that and get that wording changed that any bill paid after the due date would incur a late penalty.
Okay, we have a recommendation from staff to consider approving these amendments to the policy on delayed payments and adjustments to utility bills, and I'll entertain a motion if that's the will of council. Have a motion from Ms. Walsh. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Cogswell. Okay, questions or comments?
So a citizen come in before their due date and ask for an extension, so you're wanting to still charge them the late fee?
Yes, ma'am, because when they ask for that extension, they're asking to extend it beyond the due date. So they are paying after the due date, so they should pay a penalty. They should pay the penalty as everybody else that does not ask for an extension and pays their bill after the due date.
So 10%.
That's what council said it at years ago.
Any other questions or comments?
We have, we know of individuals, that are kind of repeat requesters. They request-
Yes, ma'am, every month. And
But I
they're
thought we
allowed-
had a limit.
They're allowed 6 extensions per year.
Oh, so
Mhm.
half of
They're-
it, basically.
Right, and that starts over January the 1st. So they have 6 extensions per year that can be used. A lot of people use those first 6 extensions up the first 6 months of the year, and they're done. But there are a lot of repeat extensions done.
Is this meant to disincentivize using those? Is that the?
I think partly it is, yes. But it's, like I said, it takes, we have a line over in utility billing, someone comes in to pay. And so they've had an extension and they're meeting their deadline. So our customer service representative has to go in, remove the penalty and figure what they have to pay, and then pay and finish up the paperwork.
And what
What-
is the length of an extension?
You can, if you request before the due date, you can get 2 weeks. If you request after the due date, you get 1 week.
And this, how does this affect our ability? I know every month it's an effort to pay our utility bill back to PMPA. How does this affect our ability to pay that?
This really doesn't affect, it doesn't impact our ability to pay the PMBA bill that much. I mean, it's not a large source of revenue. Sorry.
Thanks, Carl. I'll get you back.
Well, I mean, but the problem was last week was we had a lot due to cover the PMPA bill, and we collected about 20% of it. And that's very significant. When we looked at the service at utility billing, the amount of time that they took to do extensions, we did an analysis for a few months. And I mean, you literally took up almost a week's worth of time for the person during a month to do just
Per
extension.
month. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
per month.
Yes. So when we looked at, we don't want to discourage people that, and I think at the very end of that policy, there's also discretion that's allowed by the city manager. But, it is costing us by having to staff more people, where if I didn't have to worry about that, the majority of the extension process would remove the penalties. Because of our systems, it's not very easy, so that took the majority of the time.
So you saying the system automatically add the late fee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so did we not consider maybe, you said that they allowed 6 extension a year. Did you not kind of consider, okay, well, let's reduce it down to 3 per year? Once again, citizens are struggling, just like you're saying, they need this, the employees need this 2.63 increase. Citizens are struggling to pay these high utility bills, and now that was a service to them that the city was offering, that if you got an extension, you didn't have to pay the late fee. So why not kind of consider saying, okay, you only allow 3 extension a year, versus automatically you're going to charge them 10%. A person light bill running $200-300 a month, and then if they're struggling and you having to put that 10% on them, that to me is a hardship on that citizen. I understand the city is trying to, are needing to make money, but again, not penalize or continue to throw this off on the citizen when we can come up with some other avenues and say, okay, we're going to reduce. You're not going to get 6 extension, you're only going to get 3 extension, and we not charge you this 10%. That's a lot.
I look at it as they have 6 extensions per year as it stands right now. If we reduce it to 3, then that's going to be, there's 9 months that they aren't going to get extensions. Whether if we leave it the same and add the penalty, they only get 6 months. They only have 6 months to worry about. I mean, it's hard across the board anyway to figure out the correct way to do it. But it's, I look at it as if any one of you or me are late on our bills, we pay the 10%. And the 10% is set up for late fees, regardless of whether you have an extension or not. And so I just, I feel like, and Carl and I discussed it, that if you are late, you're late, regardless of whether you have an extension or not. You pay in past the due date.
If you get enough late fees, eventually you penalize the people who are paying their bill every month. It falls to, back on them. So it makes it is an incentive to pay your bill, and I know people are having a hard time with it, but everybody does, and it makes it a little more fair.
I wonder if we could, just as we think about this, like, from what I understand, and I've seen this in person when I go there to pay my bills, but if you go there at certain times of the month, it's a long line, and it does take a long time, and it causes the people that are there to pay or do anything, change utilities over. It causes you to get really slow service, and when I think about people extending 6 months out of the year, from what I've seen, there are a lot of people who extend once and then keep extending, and then you just extend 6 times in a row. I said, just do it habitually, but then it does catch up with them at the end of that 6 months. But I wonder if we could have like 2 penalty-free extensions, and then after that, we still provide the 6 if they need it, but there's a 10% penalty. And I don't know if that feels like a compromise to some of the stuff we've been talking to y'all, or, I mean, you know that system better than we do. Does that sound like something that would work, or am I missing problems that would cause?
There's a few problems. The system doesn't track that. We have to manually track that, so we have to go back and review the history and see what happened. I mean, it's still, the reason why we went the route we did was because we discussed that, let's get, 2 with penalty, without penalty, and going forward. And it's still, it doesn't, the system is not as user-friendly. And that basically is where the issue boils down to. So when you just spread it across the board, yes, you can still protect the cutoff dates by doing your extensions. But we also felt like it's also treating the people that eventually use the extensions the same way as the people that just don't do an extension and pay the penalty.
So what is other utility companies do about, because both you and Mr. Meadows both do not use the city of Clinton, so is it Duke Power, Lawrence Electric? What is their policy? Do they charge late fees and?
Yes, ma'am, they do. It's kind of across the board. Some people, when you don't pay, or some companies, when you don't pay, that's it. When it comes to the cutoff date, you haven't paid, they cut you off. They don't allow extensions. Some of our utilities, other utilities around here do allow extensions, and but there's not a lot. But you get in the some of the larger utilities is, you pay or you're disconnected by your cutoff date.
Carl, to your point about the system doesn't track the number of extensions, is that did I understand that correctly? Then when say a citizen comes up and wants number 7,
It's a manual process that
they have to go back. Is there not a field that we can manipulate to carry the number of extensions in this software?
I think there's a field where it shows where it's been extended, but like when we bring up a customer's profile, it's not like they're at 5. It's not sitting right there. We have to go back, pull up the history, and start looking through it and count to see where they're at. So each time we have to go through that process.
I don't know the software, so I don't know it, but there should be somewhere, even if it's a mod, we had to make a change in there to allow that to be right on the front page of a customer's account. Number of times past due, number of times extensions have been applied. There should be some way to do it. Not every city in this state that's on this system is going to manually do that, or else they must not allow extension, period.
Have you ever worked with a software company before?
Absolutely, a lot of them.
How stubborn they are.
Yeah, but you can get fixes done and you can get mods done to meet what you need, considering how much money you're paying those software companies. And I would think that'd be worth looking into to see.
We can look into it.
I mean, you tell at number 7 or number 8, you got to go back 7, 8 months or 9 months into the history.
Well, there's a history button on there that they enter that information into, and you click on that button and the history's right there in front of you. You don't really have to dig back that far to see.
Okay. Maybe I'm not understanding it now.
We can look into it.
Yeah, because I'm looking, Lawrence Electric, it's a 1.5% late fee versus our 10%. I mean, that's a big, and then plus they do allow you know, even more extensions than we do. But a 1.5 late fee versus our 10%. I just think we need to come up with another kind of solution.
Okay,
Once
so
again,
we have,
employees, and once again, citizens are struggling. I'm talking with citizens in my area, maybe in your area, things are fine and there's no struggling there, but I'm talking to citizens that are really struggling to make ends meet here now with the gas prices, with the groceries. They are struggling. We don't need to add excess to the citizens. We're going up on the millage, and now we want to take away, because that's actually what we're doing, is taking away a service that we was providing to the citizen. And you're saying the reason why we doing this budget is because we don't want to cut the service that we supply to our citizens, but yet this is what we're doing here.
I believe I made the motion. I'm willing to table it if the second agrees to address, it sounds like there are some concerns, on council, or some questions regarding software, other, alternatives, and this may be the best alternative. I don't doubt that you went through, different iterations, perhaps, providing more information on that at the next meeting. So I move to table the motion to the next meeting, providing some more information on those questions that were brought up by council members tonight.
okay, Ms. Walsh, who made the motion, moves to table. Who seconded? I can't
I
remember.
believe Mr.
Oh, did I? Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, is that work?
Oh, Constable, you seconded.
No,
it.
Natalie
You
did.
would have to agree with me, and if you don't, you don't have to.
I don't agree to table it, but whatever you want me to do, I'm gonna vote no on a tabling it, but what you need me to do to get it to that process.
No, you don't have to, you don't have to agree with me.
Then what do we do?
Did you say you wouldn't vote to table it?
Well, you've got a motion and a second, so you can go ahead and just vote if you want to.
Just
If you
vote?
vote no, then you can bring it back.
We can bring it back?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So we're voting on the original motion. And if we vote no, then that's essentially the same thing as asking for more information next time. Am I correct?
Just bring it back with different
Okay.
language.
Okay, all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no?
No.
Okay, and the motion is denied, and if they bring it back, see. Okay. All right, our next thing on the agenda, we have, we need a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual matters with within the administration department with possible actions, and I'll entertain a motion if that's the will of council.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Cook, second from Mr. Kirkendall. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. We will